So we're going to sidetrack a little bit. I just went and did some of the insulation up on that wall, but this is the man lift, and it's an old machine if you haven't been able to tell already. It doesn't have any of the, you're on a little bit of an angle, so if you start going up you might tip over. Has none of the safety at all that you could ever want on some of the new machines, which is good and bad. It's good because if you're a little bit unlevel, it's just going to let you go anyways. It's bad because you have the potential to get hurt if you're not paying attention. This machine is all hydraulic. It's just up, down, left, right. Like, that's it. There's no safety reliefs. There's no button if you want to come down if you're stuck up there, whatever. Anyways, it was cheap. I paid $800 for the lift and the charger. Now, it had a charger right here in this area, and it had a couple wires hardwired in to get over to charge it. That charger either no longer was working or was lost or something, I don't know. So the guy gave me a new charger with it. It's right here. So this big old charger is what we need to charge this machine up. It's a 24-volt charger. All it is an on-off switch. It's got a little readout right here to tell you what the battery charge currently is, if it's 10% or 80% or whatever. The two wires on this side are just that go to the battery, and this one's what you plug into your 110 normal extension cord outlet. Problem is, it's really a pain in the butt because this isn't attached to the machine. So every time you want to go park it, you got to go find this thing, grab it, put it on. It just sucks. So what I want to do is, you can see this metal cage right here. It had a cover that came out and straight down, and it dropped into these two little pads. I plan to remake that cover just to kind of pretty this machine up a little bit, but I'd like to have this charger mounted behind that. It's a little big for the spot that I have, which I'm hoping to get it right about in this area. We can't go any further in than this piece because this guy, as it comes down, will hit, and I don't want it to destroy the charger. So what we're going to do is I'm going to cut off a couple of these little tabs that are here. Obviously we don't need those anymore. I'm going to take the outer cover off of this and see, it hangs over the back about 1.5 inches. I'm probably just going to end up cutting that so that it's flush. That'll buy us a little bit of room back here. A couple of these hoses I need to kind of push out of the way and redirect so that those don't hit. But what I'd like to do is mount this thing right here in this corner. Worst case scenario, I'll cut off this bar here and I can extend it back further and drop it. That'll buy us a little bit of real estate. But anyways, what I'm trying to do is mount this on the machine. One, so when I put the covers on, it looks all nice. I can put the little readout on the front. Two is, it's a pain in the butt. So let's fix that. Secondly, there's one hydraulic switch here. And what it is it's an electronic solenoid, or electric solenoid, that'll pull back a plunger, and that lets you go your high speed or low speed, depending on if you're up or down. Right now the machine's raised, so it should be in its low speed, but I'm missing one of the little thrush washers on that, and that's what gives it a lot of problem. If you hit like say a 2x4 or something, I don't know, something on the floor, it'll roll up to it and stop, you're done. So what I need to do is pull that valve out and put a new thrush washer in there. All it does is make sure that the pressure doesn't go over the O-ring, it stops it there. So anyways, I need to get a new one of those, but I don't have one right now. So what I did was I just disconnected that solenoid completely, because when it was all the way down, it was trying to go to high speed, it wouldn't let it move at all. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't have a lot of torque if you're trying to like climb over something, but just to move around in here on the floor, it's not a big deal. So we're going to get this charger mounted. I will order up that thrush washer piece that I'm talking about, and we will come back and fix that whenever the part comes in. I think he said it was 4 or 6 weeks or something. So we'll get that thing on order and we'll go from there. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. So we got the two brackets cut off that were in the way. I just got a flap disc on here right now. I'm just going to go and clean those up so it's a nice flat surface. This thing is really grimy and gross underneath. I must have had some hydraulic leaks over the last couple years and nobody cared to clean it. So we'll do what we have to do. We'll get it kind of halfway nice. We'll power wash it, clean it all up, and then we'll go ahead and paint it all so it looks like a nice new machine. Alright, so real quick before I take this top cover off of this thing, like I said, it hangs over about an inch, inch and a half. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that with a permanent marker. We'll take it off. I'll place the bottom back in. If it fits a little bit better, we'll go ahead and cut that thing off. Okay, so that's marked. And there's, I don't know, 6 or 8 screws to pull this cover off. There you go, I lied. It's 4 screws. Random roll of tape inside. So as you can see, there's a lot of space here around this thing, especially down here on this end. This end over here, we're going to want to leave all this, and that's your safety cutoffs and everything. So we can't really shrink this thing too much width-wise, which is the way I want it. You can shrink it this way, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I can do it, maybe I can't. I think it'll end up working like this, but now that I'm looking at it, the cables here that's sketchy, they're not even tight. Okay, well the cables here for this that go over to the battery, these can run through the machine, that's not a big deal. This other cable here, I think what I'd like to end up doing is, this is your male extension cord 110 end. I think what I'd like to do is make this thing either 1, really short so it just sticks out the side, or 2, wrap it all the way down here around and we'll just stick it out the back, you know, 3 or 4 inches or something, just so it's always in a constant spot instead of having this coiled up here with the chance to run it over. But what I was going to say was this, if I pull these cables out and drill the back side of it, I can send the 2 cables over to the battery instead of them coming out the side here. And when I make my cover to come down, I'll just cut this panel out so you can see this readout through that beauty cover or whatever you want to call it. So I think that's what we're going to end up doing. What I'd like to do is, it really sucks that this right here is in the way. Where's that go? I think what I'm going to have to do is reroute some of this stuff. Let me bring you in and show you a little bit closer. Okay, so let's real quick look at what we did here. we moved the charger onto the, I guess it would be like the right hand side of the passenger side of this thing. This side here of this charger is what goes over to the battery. So you have your negative that goes on this outside pole and your positive that goes on this inside pole. I can bring you in here a little bit closer and see that. So your negative goes on this outside pole right here, and your positive goes on this inside pole. So what I did was, your wires used to come through these two holes right here on the bottom where you can see my finger moving, and that's the wrong side for what we're going to do. So I drilled two holes, one there, one just beside it, and they go through the back side now, and they come underneath and up. So like I mentioned, let's put this back just a little bit. So like I mentioned, this side over here, this is where your 110 comes in to plug it into the wall. And we ran the cord up the side, and then it's curled up right here, and you can see the yellow end of it there. So to clean this thing up just a little bit, I went and called our friends over at Dynamic Laser and had them make a cover for us. Like I mentioned before, I want to come off the top of this little 1x1 square tubing, come over, and then down this edge here. So, and then I wanted to have this cutout where the readout is on the charger, so you can still see when it's charging, when it's not, whatever. I called him, told him what I was basically doing. I said I'm looking for steel between 60 thousandths thick and 1/8 of an inch, which I think was 12 gauge and 16 gauge. Don't quote me. And they came back with this. So they had some of this galvanized material, which, you know, whatever. I was going to paint them, powder coat them at black, but this is fine. And they cut in the hole here for the readout, and they blocked in the one end. So they had this, they laser cut it all, they bent it to the specs that we gave them, and let's see if it fits. You can see there's two little black tabs, one right here and one right there. Those hold it in and out. And then we have our cutout there for the readout of the charger and a flat top. This front end here, let's see if you can see that. Yeah, you can. So there's some valves here, and I didn't want that covered in, and you know, it kind of would have been hard to come down 2 inches over and down and whatever. So I just left that end open. It's not going to hurt anything. And then the opposite end, let's run over this way. Our opposite end here, I left this back corner. The back corner has a 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch chunk taken out of it, and then I radius the corners with a 1/2 inch radius, so we can run the wire from the charger out and back here to where it's going to connect outside. So the only thing left to do on this thing is drop a couple self-tappers in the top through that 1x1 tube, and this side is done. We'll move to the opposite side and take a look at that. So we just slipped this cover down in place. I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, but there's some dents in it here. They were having a hard time folding this fourth side in. This one has both ends on it. They were having a hard time folding this fourth in as it was hitting the machine. So yeah, there's some dings in it from where we were banging on it trying to get it to close, but again, we're going to screw down this back side here, so it's going to keep it pretty flat. And on the end here, go back out, you can see these two holes. One's going to be for the machine on and off, and the other's for the charger on and off. So we're going to go ahead and mount our two kill switches and get this thing wired up. So there you go. That's our main power for the machine. So we're just going to turn it this way. That's on, so you can drive the machine. This way's off. We're going to hook the same thing, same switch right here to fill this hole. And that's the wire from the charger. And then we have a small one that's just going to jump back to the battery. That's it. It's wired. The little voltmeter that we got, I bragged about a little bit on the previous, or earlier in this video I should say, about how great it was. It was a big nice LED screen. The capacitor on the back blew up. This is supposed to be good for 48 volts and we're only at 24. So it should be well within its working range. I don't know what happened. So we'll buy another one. I think it was, I don't know, 10 or 12 bucks. We'll buy another one, and that'll go in this hole right here. So like I said, you can look over the side, you'll be able to see it. And I'm going to throw 2 self-tappers in the back of that, and that will hold this cover down. I'm going to put this last one piece of wire on there to the other switch, and that's it. We're done, guys. So there you go. I'm going to throw a couple self-tappers in the back here, and there's one more wire on. It's almost impossible to get a camera shooting in from the back here to the back side of the switch. So basically, like I said, the only thing I'm going to do is hook up one wire to one pole on the switch. The other one is going to be this cable that jumps back over to the battery. And that's it. When you flick that switch on, it'll allow the charger to go to the battery. When you flick the switch on out here on the outside, that'll turn the machine on. You can go ahead and drive it around and do whatever you got to do. That, I think, is going to clean up the looks of this machine a little bit with a couple of these covers. And I have one more cover that's going to go up behind the controls, but there's no sense really filming that. I don't think it's going to add anything to this video. So we'll end it here so we don't make it too long. And yeah, do stuff.